the RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmgp. Abracadabra, Kalamazoo, I wish for a podcast, now make it come true! Welcome to the RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmgp, your one-stop shop for everything RPG Maker. This is Cody, aka Marpix, and with me today are Blue Sky Robin.
You're introducing me first again, Cody? Come on.
I forgot! God, fine.
Alright, you're forgiven.
This is Cody, aka Marpix, and with me today are the Red Mage.
Hello, good morning.
And also Blue Sky Robin.
Hello, everybody.
So we got a little bit of news, and none of it's Yanflag related, because we're recording this like a week after the last one. First off, we have a new RPG Maker coming to console and coming to the West. It's RPG Maker FES! Woo!
Woo! Now I can lay in bed and make RPGs and not do it on my phone, because I liked it, the phone one originally, but it is just the most obnoxious thing in the world to use. So I'm kind of glad that I'm going to get a 3DS one.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were talking about that before,
Yeah.
Red Mage.
I kind of liked it just because it was mobile, but it is so awful. Just not intuitive at all to use.
So, long and short is it's RPG Maker FES, and it's coming to the 3DS sometime summer 2017. It has kind of the same thing that the PS1 version has, where it has like a memory count, so you can see how much memory you have left when you're making a game. Also, there's a RPG Maker Player app, so you no longer need to hand someone your PS1 disc and your memory card to play the game. You can share the game wirelessly, and they can use an app to play the game without needing your cartridge.
Alright.
That's actually really neat.
Yeah.
It's like because back in like the PS1 days, what was it called, the Dex Drive or something? It was like some memory card hacking thing that you could like share files with that way, and it was a huge pain in the ass, but this seems much easier. I love technology.
Yeah, I remember the Dex Drive. I almost bought one back in the day.
Yeah, same. But then I looked to see how much work it was, and then I was like, never mind. Also, I don't have a job, because I'm young.
I don't know, like, I have a 3DS, and I don't really know if I want to have an RPG Maker on the 3DS. I'd rather play Monster Hunter, honestly.
Fair enough.
God. You know, I kind of have the same thing regarding what machine I'm using at the time. So, like, my laptop is 100% business. I crack that open. I'm playing an RPG Maker and recording Defeat the Darkness. But my actual big home computer, it's where I browse Facebook. It's where I browse Tumblr. It's where I do my little stupid internet stuff. It's where I play my video games. It's also where I compile my movie files. So there's kind of a psychological thing going on where when I'm sitting down, I want to be relaxing and having fun, but I also have to work on stuff. And when I'm in the same position on the same machine.
That's fair. You can just training your mind and body to react to that stimuli. Now, I've just got my desktop, so I get distracted all the fucking time.
Yeah, I kind of understand the movie thing, but Facebook on your desktop? Like, seriously? You can fit that on the phone.
Facebook is not getting in my phone, so help me God.
Alright, fine.
That's fair.
I think I've mentioned this before, maybe I haven't. My phone has, like, one app, and it's called, like, Simon Tatum's Puzzles, and it's just like a puzzle game that you just download and it's on your phone. Like, it doesn't ask for any data. Its only permission is, can I have the game data on your SD card, please? Like, you need to download me and put me somewhere.
Alright.
Now, dude, I've got, like, a whole mess on my phone for games that are like that, games that ask me for data, games that want me to buy shit all the time. I do more gaming on my phone than I do on my computer most of the time. It's pretty sad.
Wow.
Yeah, and on my phone I have shit like the database for Monster Hunter. Yeah, that's what my phone is for.
I think I need, like, a third computer so that I have, like, a Facebook machine and then 2 work machines.
There you go.
This is my Facebook machine. This is what I throw across the room.
Yeah, because, like, with the 3DS, I have mine, and it's basically a Smash machine, or at least it was before I retired. And so, like, when I have a 3DS in my hand, the assumption in my brain is I'm going to play a game. Or, like, if I get dressed at 6 o'clock in the morning, the assumption is I'm going to work.
Right.
It doesn't matter if we're closed for snow or not. For the next 8 hours, I'm up and ready to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair
get
enough.
in your business suit and shovel that snow, Cody.
Yeah. Next up on our docket here, our buddy from rpgmg, LeoHeart, released a brand new demo for his game, The Long Road. From what I can tell, The Long Road is about a cute cat and his cute cat friend who run into some wolves, and they get in a little fight, and their mom got scared and said, "You move with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air."
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I played one of the old demos for it, and yeah, you're a cute little black cat, and then you meet a cute little white cat, and then eventually, yeah, wolves, and then you meet a dog, and then there's some other animals after that. It's kind of got like this weird, like Homeward Bound kind of vibe to it in an RPG form, because you're just talking animals going on an adventure.
God, I think I watched some of those movies back in the day.
I think that's what he was going for, because like he mentioned, those older Disney films were part of his inspiration.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well, that makes sense to me.
The lore of the world is something like all the humans suddenly disappeared, so all the animals are like whatever now.
Well, see, I thought they had left the cat somewhere because they couldn't, like, keep him or take him to wherever they were moving to. Because the main... Well, when I played the last demo, the main plot was the cat wanting to go find his owner.
The cat wanted to find his owner, but also all the humans disappeared.
Oh, okay. I may have missed that then. Okay. So, because there's a lot of, like... I don't want to say they're dark themes, but they're more serious themes too throughout too. Especially whenever the cat goes to sleep, there's always like flashbacks about his time with the kid. And apparently the kid's upbringing was like not very good.
Ooh.
Yeah, like parents fighting and like that kind of stuff. So it touches on a lot of that, which is interesting to see in someone that's not really directly affected and is also a cat. You know, with all of that, it puts like a... I don't want to say like a funny spin on it, but like a calming spin on something like that. It's never as in your face as it could be.
Yeah, because the cat is an outside observer. They aren't directly affected by what the kid's going through.
Right.
You
Yeah.
are my only friend, Black Cat Chan.
Good heavens. I really like the art style and the custom graphics that that LeoHeart uses. And it looks like it's in the Lisa style, where like it side scrolls and you can just kind of talk to stuff as you walk next to it.
Yeah. Certain areas are side scroll, certain areas are like normal exploration, but it's got like a weird like 3/4 view, or isometric, I guess, like viewpoint. So it's not like a top down. It almost like a lot of them are. It's even dialed back even further than that. So it's neat. I like it. It was a fun little romp when I played it. It's hard, or it was. I got my ass kicked by the wolves a couple times before I figured out the effective way to beat them.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I can too.
Like Final Fantasy Legend in the sense that like the gameplay enforces the narrative. It is a long, hard road. The long road.
Yes.
God. Oh, speaking of that, now that we're through the news, last time on Final Fantasy Legend.
Woo! Woo!
We beat the game. Did you beat the game, Red Mage?
No. I am.
Fuck
I know. I am reclimbing the tower. I'm sorry. I work the last couple days because, alright, not to delve into my work life, but basically our company sent out these letters to everybody and they're like, hey, we need you to confirm this information for your account, otherwise we're going to close it in 30 days. So we have been like absolutely slammed. And it's like this long ass fucking process to get that information submitted into the account. So I can't like just go, while they're talking like I usually do. So I just had to do work, and it sucked. So I'm climbing the tower again. It's reminiscent of, though easier than the skyscraper. Skyscraper was a pain in the ass. I'm glad I'm past that.
You didn't resort to a guide, did you?
No, I still haven't.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. Yeah, because the skyscraper and reclimbing the tower are relatively the same. They're very big, they're very open, there's a lot of useless space, and the encounter rate is a little bit low, but the enemies are just god-awful.
Yeah, no. Because I didn't get a chance to really talk about my experience in the tower or the skyscraper last time. So, okay, first of all, you do the thing, you get the item, the whatever 99 that you use on Suzaku. Okay, they just like put you outside of the town, and you go back in the town, everybody's dead. Nobody tells you where this skyscraper is. Not that I could
See,
find.
Cody, I told you no one told you where the skyscraper was.
I went into every building and I talked to every person in there. I couldn't find anything. I tried to find the library again to see if that suddenly had some information. I found it by accident, just like driving around on the overworld.
Oh man. Well, I guess that's when you're supposed to have the handy dandy map that comes with the game. And you see the big like cratered area with the skyscraper just kind of hanging out by itself.
All throughout, I was like, okay, I've been everywhere except for the northwest area. Maybe it's up there, and then that's where it was. So,
I told you no one pointed out where the skyscraper was.
I told a lie.
Yeah. I climbed the skyscraper without a map either, and I don't know. It was long, but I guess other than I don't know, it was long.
except there's enemies now that are like randomly resistant to my elemental attacks, so that's some shit.
I laugh at you, Red Mage, because they are obviously weak to bullets.
That's
go back
Robin's.
and get some guns.
That's Robin's favorite spell. Brap, brap, brap.
Bullet storm.
Yep.
Oh man, at World 4 I was like, fuck it. Everyone has at least 2 Vulcans.
I always gave people at least one, because I gave them the single target option, like either an agility weapon or a strength weapon for my 2 humans, just for like the high damage. Okay, this person needs to die, and then they both had a Vulcan for helping the mage and my monster do the group attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It was really, really nice having my monster turn into a lich at the end too, because at the end you refight the fiends. And when you refight the fiends, they are the only ones that drop the top level meat. So you can finally evolve into like the biggest, baddest monsters that you don't even fight in the game. They're all like a level above the final monsters. So,
Nice.
So as a lich, you get a group death spell that always works. You have an HP drain. You have teleports. You can get down to the bottom of the tower for free without wasting inventory space on doors. And you get flare. You can cast fucking flare.
Nice.
Yeah, so for the final boss, I had both my mutant with a spellbook and my lich flaring the shit out of this guy.
That's pretty excellent. Because what I was going to say is, no, I mean, at this point, like, where I'm playing through right now, and I don't know if it's just because mutants I've finally started to, like, fall off. Like, I'm not struggling at all still, but it's just more annoying to fight. I have no idea how you would do this with, like, one character. Like, at all. So, it's something that I'm probably going to revisit in the far-flung future, but I thought I was going to, like, just try it right after I beat it, but nah.
No.
That seems a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's a game that it gets progressively more irritating as you play. The dungeons get even longer, the enemies get even harder, the amount of just big empty space that it tricks you into exploring to fight more random encounters, those spaces get even larger. I understand why they do it, but there comes a point, you know, because it took all of my adult intelligence and patience to beat this game, you know?
Right.
Cody, let me just say, for a party of 4 murder hobos, it's like the complete opposite. At the very start, you know what happens? You have no money. And it's the worst part of the game. You can't even properly beat P-Frog because of how much defense he has. And then as you climb up, monsters drop more money. So hey, you can start affording more stuff. And then the higher you go, it's like, just give everyone Vulcans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have so much money, it's ridiculous.
Here's the culmination. I reached Suzaku, the boss you guys keep crying about. You know how long it took to beat him? 2 turns. You know how many hits I did? 5. He died in 5 hits.
You literally need the second turn just for one more hit, like, hold up, dog. I got you.
Yeah, he took 3 turns, I think, for me. So, but then again, one of my guys had a rapier because I was the only. I like run out of weapons at that point. So he was doing like 40 damage, despite having like 85 agility. So.
Wow.
Oh god, like seriously. Suzaku's first turn, he casts Blind, and that's the most effective he's ever been, because he's dead on the next turn. And then the final boss took like 4 turns. I mean, like, it did take all the good weapons, but still.
Yeah. I want to explore that when we get to the actual subject, because, like, as far as Final Fantasy Legend being designed, you aren't necessarily assumed to have your full HP and MP when you reach the boss, you know, because of the long-ass dungeons. So the bosses themselves only have, like, 3 or 4 times the health of a normal enemy.
Yep.
But, like, with modern games, you have, like, your save points right before, you have your HP restoring, so they design it around you being at full health and full MP before you go to the boss.
Right.
Man.
So you can, save, use your tent, restore to full, and then run into it. But yeah, that's not a thing.
It's more realistic the old school way, because, the boss isn't just sitting in the room and he hears you, hold on, smoke break, and then you walk in just ready to go.
Yeah. That'd be really, like, interesting mechanic to, like, almost exploit, I guess. Like, it kind of like fourth wall breaking a little bit. When you use a save point, it makes the ding that all save points do, and then if you use the save point, the boss is, like, alerted to your presence, and is like beefed up and ready to go, like has all of his buffs already cast on himself and is ready to go. But if you just go right in without saving, you catch him a little off guard and the fight's a little easier.
Ooh, I like that.
That depends on the game, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean it'd only work in certain games, but just kind of pushing the fourth wall envelope a little bit on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because why does the boss have a save point outside of his door? What does he need that there for? I mean, really.
For convenience.
Do the bosses save there too?
The bosses need saves too. Oh god. And I remember some people talking about like having different kinds of mimics. And one thing they talked about was like a mimic that looked like a save point.
They do that in Chrono Trigger.
Oh god.
I mean, it's only once, and it's like in a little pit. There's like little things that look like a save point. When you step on it, it splits into 3 other sparkly-looking things, and they're completely nameless, typeless enemies.
All right. I mean, games have done that, not a lot, but it does happen. Like, last time I talked about Yuffie, she does that save point thing.
Yep.
It's bullshit.
Yep.
I lost like 1 million gil trying to recruit her.
Oh, God. Dude, mimics need to come back in more games than Dark Souls. I don't know how you do it properly, but a little bit of paranoia never hurt.
Oh god, Neo does that really well. It's really strong. The mimic game in Neo, jeez. Like, illusory walls in Dark Souls, no, they attack you.
The walls attack you.
Yes, the illusory walls in Neo attack you.
Nice.
Oh, God. Wait, do they just fall on top of you, or what?
They don't really fall on top of you, unless you do something really specific. You can attack them if you identify them, but after you hit them, like, twice, they come alive and throw rocks at you, slam their fists at you, and they will try to hug you.
So like
it's
a wall
golem. Japanese swamp.
Gotcha.
Okay. Like, I love technology, I really do, but I think MMOs got killed by not having that kind of, sense of danger about yourself, because everyone just looks up a guide, they look up a map now, No one's processing the game in real time, they're looking at a guide and going, oh, I go this way, oh, this is a trap, blah, blah, blah.
Or MMOs?
Yeah.
Just RPGs in general, really, nowadays, though.
Yeah. And something that demonstrated this for me was I went to a holiday party back in December, and Adam was there. He's not here now, but I'll tell the story. It was kind of like a potluck. Everyone brings something. So I brought some chips and whatever, but I also brought a big plastic tub, and it had a pound of M&Ms, it had a pound of crispy M&Ms, it had a pound of Reese's Pieces, and exactly 1 Skittle. And I told everybody that there was 1 Skittle in this 3 pounds of chocolate, and for them to enjoy themselves. They spent about 45 minutes looking for the goddamn Skittle. Like, the party stopped. We weren't playing any games. It was just people looking for the fucking Skittle. The one tiny seed of doubt ruined the entire tub of chocolate.
Cody, are you that, like, crazy puppet from Saw or something? Jeez.
No, I just thought it would be funny, like, haha, someone's gonna have to eat a Skittle, and then everyone finally not being able to Google something for once in their lives was on a quest to find this fucking Skittle.
That's awesome. And also, absolutely D&D parties, too. They'll get hung up on one small detail and deliberate on it for like an hour before they move forward. And it's like, can we just go?
Yeah, the best part
it was a bachelor party, but we're all nuclear physicists.
God, they didn't even find it either. Like, I presented the tub, here's some chocolate and joy, and everyone takes their turn looking for the Skittle. Ha, I found it. I just look them straight in the eye and go, no. And then they eat it, and it's like a crispy M&M, and I'm like, told you. And then...
See, now, the best part is that there wasn't a Skittle in there at all.
Oh, man.
You madman.
See, no, that's next time. But this time, yeah. I put all the rules up front, like there's going to be a Skittle in it. I showed them all the Skittle, and I dug it in, and I swirled it around, and I put it down, and nobody could find it. And then about 2 hours later, someone's just mindlessly munching on it while we're playing a game, and lo and behold, there it was.
There it was.
Yeah. God.
This is a strangely fruity M&M.
Oh, man. Yeah, just the one seed of doubt. It was great. It was great.
Perfect.
I would do that if I actually went to parties.
Oh.
I don't anymore now that I'm an old man, but that's something to keep in mind if I ever do. Because that sounds like a very fun time. Then again, my friends would just be like, eh. I wouldn't care. I'd be like, all of this effort wasted.
Don't worry, Red Mage. You'll have your chance when you have kids or something.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
I will mess with my kids so hard.
Maybe make the sizes smaller, because whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's still something to do.
Yeah, I think a kid wouldn't have to they would get bored before they dove through 1,000 pieces of candy. They'd get sick about 20.
Yeah.
That's another thing about, you old people, if I can just make a quick aside. I've been playing DDR for the past year. I don't know if you paid attention to my Twitter, but, I'm starting to full combo songs that are, 7 feet hard. And,
nice.
Thank you. And, there's two different places I go. One's an arcade with, kids, and one's, a bar/arcade, and it's all adults, and they're watching, going, oh, man, good job, bro. Sometimes people want to play, and, I set them up on player 2 or whatever. I say, okay, we're going to do this song. And I have more fun giving them a song that I think they can do instead of giving them one that's just absolutely impossible. And the reason is because modern adults, okay, they just give up. If they see too many notes, they go, nah, and it's not fun for anybody. It's like, you, buddy.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm going to tailor this experience to your lazy ass, and you're going to have to perform in front of your friends. It's going to be great for everybody.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing too. Because I mean, me personally, even if it's something obnoxious, I'm still gonna randomly flail my legs to kick the arrows, but I'm not gonna do very well or do it seriously if it's that difficult. Because I could play on whatever's above light.
Standard.
Oh no, it must be light then. Whatever the second difficulty is. I think it's beginner, light, standard. Yeah, so I'm light. That's me. My wife uses it to, she plays here and there a couple times a week, so she's standard heavy, moving up towards heavy, because she just recently restarted playing again, so.
Nice. Alright, yeah, so, old people are lazy. There we go.
Yeah, we are. That's true.
Cool.
Let's get to the actual subject at hand here. So we, today, are finally talking about magic systems in RPGs.
Right.
Most nowadays use an MP system. You have your elements that you manage. Now, the spells themselves have become increasingly diverse, but the resource management and the methods of casting them have increasingly become homogeneous. You have your MP, and you're going to cast either air, fire, earth, or water, sometimes holy, sometimes dark. But back in the day, with like Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 3, they tried the Vancian MP style. There's also the Final Fantasy Legends series, which we're getting through. 1 and 2 both had specific MP for each skill, and Pokemon borrowed that sort of thing as well.
Yep.
Red Mage, I'm going to ask you, why doesn't anyone try the Vancian system anymore, which is where you have spells level 1 through 8, and the higher level spell... Each spell level has its own MP count, so, level 1, you cast Fire Ice, level 3 is like Fire 2, so on and so forth. Why aren't we breaking up the MP like that anymore?
I mean, going back to old people here, I'm old people, and so Vancian spellcasting to me is still one of my favorite ways of doing it. But as far as why it's not done too much anymore is because you lose that feeling of, I mean, you have the feeling of progression to an extent, but it kind of is also blocked by the fact that your earlier spells more or less become useless once you hit a certain point in the game. In Final Fantasy 1, once you start getting like the Fire 2, Lit 2, you can still use your original, Fire, Lit, Ice, those kind of spells, because they'll still do more damage to one enemy than your physical attack would, because you're probably a black mage and can't hit worth a shit. But once you get up to like Fire 3, you have no reason to ever go back to Fire 1. Ever. There's no point to it. Fire 2 is still useful at that point. Like the previous level, once you've attained it, is okay. If we wanted to do something with Vancian casting nowadays, you would have to put some kind of spin on it, something that would allow the spells to still be relevant. Like, for example, once you hit Fire 2, Fire 2 does more damage, but maybe that increases the potency of Fire 1's burn effect, for example. So if you cast it, you have a much higher chance of actually burning an enemy, whereas Fire 2 is just more straight damage. Something along those lines that would improve the earlier spells to still be viable in some capacity would be necessary to make it still a system that you would want to use. Because as it is right now, like even if you look at Dungeons and Dragons, which is like the origin of the Vancian thing, once you hit certain spell levels, you rarely go back to the early stuff because it doesn't matter anymore with the enemies that you're facing.
How do you feel about the changes in 5th edition where, like, Cure Wounds is now a level 1 spell, but you can choose which spell slot you burn to increase its effect? See, because that's what they're doing now to kind of adjust it, because even they admit that level 1 spells kind of become useless. They're saying, okay, look, everything's level 1, and if you burn a higher level spell slot, then you do a more intense effect of that level 1 spell.
Right. That's kind of, the same idea of just adjusting the Vancian system to be more fluid, changing it up in some way to make it more relevant. And yeah, I'd forgotten 5th edition does that because all my friends play Pathfinder, so that's the only thing I ever get to play. But no, it's definitely a good way to do that because you have the standard spell list, and I don't know if you get more spells as you level that can fill the different slots. I don't really remember, but that same idea. The only problem is if you translate that into like a video game, it's a lot more difficult because you have to like select the spell, then select the level that you want to use it on, then select the target you want to use it on. It's too many confirmations to make the battle quick enough. So I don't think something like that would really work for a game, personally, unless it's like a tactical RPG. Then it's expected that you have all these choices and decisions and that kind of thing. But in a fast-paced or even a turn-based RPG, it's just kind of like okay, thank you, next turn.
Yeah, because with tactical RPGs, the people who play tactical RPGs aren't scared by 55 menus.
It's true.
And even if you give them 55, they'll be asking for a 56th and a 57th because there were things you forgot to put in.
Yep.
Okay, listen, look, the character customization, it's great, but why can't my character have a red shoe and a blue shoe?
Yeah. Okay. So like I can differentiate the upper and lower body, and that's cool and everything. But why can't I like differentiate the left side from the right side? What if I want to have this weird dichotomy personality going on with my character, and I can't do that? I need this.
I want Harvey Two-Face in my tactical RPG. Vancian does have its problems, but I feel like because we've moved away from Vancian, we've also moved away from anyone trying any sort of experiment with MP, because the vast majority of the time nowadays, it's all about MP. No one's really messing with that very much.
It's true.
Nowadays, everyone's going for, like, regenerating MP now, so the problem's, like, getting a bit worse.
Yeah, because back in our day, if you blew a spell and you weren't near the inn, you said goodbye to that spell for the rest of the dungeon.
Yep.
There was a lot stricter resource management back in the day, because once you bought, Lightning 2 or Lit 2, you had one Lit 2, and you had probably 4 or 5 Lit 1s. So to get through the dungeon, you had to strategically apply your Lit 2 to one group of enemies for the duration of that dungeon, because your MP was a precious resource.
Yep. And there weren't ethers, there weren't fruits or whatever, whatever, pick your, your terminology for whatever game you're in. There was no way to restore that until you went to sleep at the inn. Which is actually kind of great, jumping back to Final Fantasy Legend, because I sleep at the inn all the time, because it regenerates the MP for the mutants' abilities when you do that. So, I do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Chugging potions here.
Yeah, because Robin's MP is just buying another gun.
Yes.
God. I like how the old games were balanced like that, though, because as we were saying earlier, like, the bosses in FFL are only about 4 or 5 times harder than an average enemy, but that's because they didn't expect you to have full HP and MP when you got there. The dungeons were very long, very difficult. Someone might be dead, and if you didn't have a revive on you, well, then GG. You're going to have to try and beat the boss with 3 people. And, in fact, the game doesn't penalize you if someone's dead, because there's no experience system.
It's true, which is nice.
Yeah. Whereas with modern games, they have the save point right outside. They expect you to be at full HP, full MP, and they try and balance the game around that sort of thing. It's kind of like TF2, where there's health packs everywhere, but everyone can die in 2 shots to a rocket, and maybe even 1 if you're just below full health. Everything is balanced for you being at maximum efficiency.
Okay. I don't play TF2, so it's interesting that they design it around that rather than having to have like a healer type character like you do in Overwatch or something else to keep the team up and going. They just have health items everywhere. Okay, that's an interesting way to do it.
In TF2, you're either wet tissue paper or you're 2 wet tissue papers.
And that's why it'll always be the better game. Anyhow. So how do you guys feel about, casting from HP? Because I don't see many games do that. The only one off the top of my head would be a Shadowrun Returns, where you can cast a spell every number of turns. There's a cooldown, but you can bypass the cooldown by burning some HP. So you're not explicitly allowed to, turn HP into MP, but you are allowed to burn HP to get more magic out of you.
I'll let Robin handle this one since I took the last one.
Right, okay. Shin Megami Tensei and the Persona series, they have this sort of thing going on, because they have skills that use MP, and that's fine, but all their physical based skills will always go use HP. And it's not just a small amount of HP, it's always a percentage of your max HP.
Wow.
Yeah, it's always set to a % of your max HP. But they are really strong. The way Shin Megami Tensei games work, or Persona, if you're using that example, enemies will have weaknesses. And if you hit their weakness, they are screwed.
Yeah.
Sometimes some enemies have physical-only weaknesses. And yeah, sometimes your weapon just doesn't hit that, because you're using a sword and you need the punch to hit that weakness. So you summon the God Hand, and the God Hand murders them for you. But that takes up your HP. And you have to decide, is it worth using your HP to summon the God Hand, or is it worth just taking a hit?
So you're going to lose HP either way, but you're trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, that pretty much explains.
Pretty much, because the Shin Megami Tensei games tend to be the games where normal encounters have a chance to kill your party.
Yeah. Yeah, if you get ambushed, and because basically each side has a number of turns, and if they crit or hit your elemental weakness, they get another turn. So if you happen to have one guy or 2 guys that's weak to the elements of the enemy the area that you're in, or they get a crit, and they ambush you, so they go first, you can very easily get a full party wipe just from just random enemies.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so managing your elements is super important in that game.
Yes.
Yeah, because you get free turns when you hit an enemy's elemental weakness, too.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
So it goes both ways, at least. That's pretty fair.
Yeah. It is true, and I mean, it works, and it just makes it very it makes the combat very lethal, just all around, which is fun on both sides, but it can be frustrating at times.
Yeah. If a game has skills that use your HP, it has to be worth it. There's very few RPGs that make using HP worth it at all.
The only one that I can think of off the top of my head, Ramza had the ability called Wish in Final Fantasy Tactics, where he spends, a couple HP, but then he gives double that to whoever he's casting it on, so he gives up 11 HP and gives someone else 22. The way they balance this is that Ramza is the only character with that ability you can control, so you can't have two people, just training Wish on each other. You can't, chain it and build each other's HP up, over the course of a couple turns. You basically can only just have Ramza be the martyr and give it away to other people.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, hit point use, it kind of depends. I really like that percentage idea. I haven't played SMT in a long time, but the whole using it as a percentage, I really like that. And actually referencing an RPG Maker game here, Skyborn used that for MP as well. Like, you had 100 MP if you were a caster, and that was it. And then all of your spells just cost 9 or 5. It was just a percent of that total. So no matter how far you progress in the game, you never had any more MP, and you had to manage your resources all that same way across the board. And that was an interesting way to do it too, as far as just in general. But using hit points, like Robin said, it's got to be worth it for me to even consider using it. Because the last thing you want to happen is you use it, you don't kill the enemy, and then they counterattack or crit on their turn or something, and they just deal more damage than you would expect, or they use a special move or whatever, and then you lose that character, and the enemy's not even dead, and you're like, well, shit.
So, how much fun did you guys have playing Dragon Quest II? I think it's the green guy, I forgot his actual name, but the one that can both kind of fight and kind of cast. He had a spell called Sacrifice, where he kills himself, and then he has a chance to kill the enemy. And by a chance, I mean it never fucking worked.
Yeah, no. All the death spells in Dragon Quest are bullshit. All of them. Dragon Quest is also the game that's got fucking... It's got the only game that I've ever seen where resurrection spells have a chance to fail. If somebody dies, you can cast Vivify, I think is the weaker one.
Yep.
And if it does, and then there's got a 70% chance of working. So there's a good 30% chance that nothing will happen, and they just stay dead, and you've wasted a turn and a bunch of MP.
But you could burn twice as much, a ridiculous amount of MP for Revive, which is guaranteed to work.
Yeah, which I never use. I'll go Vivify, thanks.
Red Mage, the only game? Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure FF Tactics had that too, where you could miss your revives.
Maybe? I don't really remember. I didn't.
It does. If you're using the White Mage, sometimes your guys will not revive because they're not believing enough.
Yeah.
That's true. See, I always just power level at the beginning, so I never have people die. So, it's been so long, but no, you are right. I do remember that now that you say that.
Yeah. The thing about Tactics, though, is it's very fair. The average Magic user and the average Faith stat, you still have about a 70-75% chance, but even if they don't come back, you still have a couple turns before they're officially dead, and... your caster is probably in the back row, so you still have a turn or two before you're actually completely screwed. And if you really need it, they have Phoenix Downs, which are a guaranteed revive.
Yep, it's just 3 hit points. If
you let your character have items, that is.
Yeah.
Chemists are great, though, for that. Just being hey, I'm going to throw this Phoenix down halfway across the battlefield. Get your ass up, boyo.
You ever been stuck in a loop where you Phoenix down someone, they come up with 15 HP, and Archer plinks them down, so you have to revive them again?
Yep.
Happens all the time.
All the time.
I hate that shit so much.
Not
they kind of fix it
too, so yeah.
Yeah, no, it happens in just general RPGs a lot too, but they kind of fix that in Tactics Advanced, because when you revive someone, they get a turn. They get a temporary quick status to have their turn right then. So then you can get them the fuck out of there or heal them or whatever.
That's cool.
Red Mage, what have you done?
That's something I'd like to see in more games, though, is the FF Tactics style of doing things. For one, Faith as a stat. each character believing in magic, and because they believe in it so strongly that it just does more damage or cures more or has a better chance of working.
And see, here's the thing. It's definitely an interesting mechanic, and I like it. I like it a lot. But outside of, like, a tactical RPG area, you'd have to have, like... It'd have to be, like, a numbers-heavy game. And the game wouldn't really be so much about the story. I mean, it could be about the stories and the characters, but it's mostly about the systems and the numbers and optimizing them. In my opinion.
I think you could do kind of like a Valkyria Chronicles kind of thing with, like, perks. So you could have this guy you recruit, and so-and-so is an atheist. He doesn't believe in magic. He doesn't get hurt by magic, but it's also very hard to cure him with magic, because he doesn't believe it's real. So you just have, like, the one guy.
Okay. That would be interesting, yeah. If you did it with, like, character traits, that would be a different way to do it. But even then, you're still... That guy is basically still just, faceless grunt number 6. With Valkyria Chronicles, I pretty much just ran with, like, the starting people, like, the whole way through. I mean, I looked at all the other people, but... By that point, like, my characters were so, like, the original ones were, like, so much, well, I guess the levels all are by the class anyway. I don't know.
Yep.
I just never traded them out. I just used the people that I started with, and I never lost anybody. I made sure of that.
The game rewards you for using the starting people because Alicia, Largo, and Roxy, that lady?
Rosie, yeah.
They each give you a command point, so half your team is set in stone already.
Yeah.
The snipers are kind of weird because I started with Oscar and Cesare, and they're both annoying assholes. So as soon as I got Marina, she became my sniper waifu.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, Marina's the best.
Mm-hmm. I think in a character-driven RPG, you could have people with personality traits and do that kind of stuff. Like you don't want Mr. Fedora on your team. Okay, cool. But then there's going to be one boss who uses nothing but magic, and you're like, maybe I'll drag him out. He can have his day.
Yeah. If you had like a pool of maybe, if you've got a party of 4, probably 8 total characters with varying traits like that would be all right. I think that would be an acceptable number. My personal preference is, Final Fantasy VI aside, you should never have more characters like available than like twice your total party. Because otherwise, you just got too many characters to like worry about and keep track of and that kind of thing. And at that point, you can't always play how you want, because like in Final Fantasy VI, for example, no one character is really better than anyone else. They all have their own unique abilities, and the way that the Espers work, you can basically build anybody any way that you want. Yeah.
And outside of a few gimmick battles, like you don't need Runic, you don't need Terra to be an Esper.
So that's just my thought on that, because once we get a little bit more further on, I'll bring up the games that I've chosen to speak of for Magic systems, and this game does it pretty well. So
okay, I think I'll just I'll bring up one more because it's unlike everything else on my list here. Super Mario RPG, it's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
So first off, it brings up the mini games as spells sort of thing. Geno Beam, you hold it to charge, and I think that's a way to bypass the menu is if you just charge a spell by holding it.
Yeah.
There's also, like, Fireball. Press Y repeatedly, so the more you press it, the more you get. It's also one of the few, maybe the only line of RPGs where jump is an element. And jump can be countered by having a spiky enemy, so Mario hurts himself when he stomps on it.
Yep. And it's also lets you with jump, I think it's super jump, you can jump an indefinite number of times as long as your timing is right.
Mm-hmm. After about the 18th one, you have to be basically frame perfect. And they even incorporate that into challenges later where you get items if you manage to jump perfectly a lot. The other cool thing is that they have a shared MP pool in this game called Flower Points. So you have to strategically balance who's using all the flower points. It also means that someone has to be physically attacking. You have to get good with somebody's moves, because Peach is going to be your healer. Like, that's the end-all be-all. Once Toadstool's in the party, she's in it forever, because she is your healer. And then you can have, your third wheel, usually Geno, because Geno's awesome.
Right. I mean, I usually went with Mario, Mallow, and Bowser, but that's just me. and usually I would just, because Bowser's one of the characters, I think, like, once you get him, if you just pick attack every single level up, because you get the level up bonus, he's like the only one that maxes out his attack power. Which is great.
So what weapon did you use? Did you use the glove that throws Mario at people?
I mean, I used that for a while. I think his final ability, his final weapon, man, it's been so long since I've played Mario RPG. Isn't his final weapon like some sort of claw attack, or is it the glove that throws Mario? Because you get that in the sunken ship, I think, or the seaside town. Somewhere in there.
It might even be a chain chomp if I'm thinking about it.
It might be. It might be the golden chomp. Maybe. I might be just making that up. Because the only ultimate weapon I remember is Mario's lazy shell.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
Mallow had the symbols. That was his final weapon. The Sonic symbols, and they kind of warped the screen.
Yeah.
That was great.
Just in general, the Mario-styled RPG games are always very innovative in their combats, and I like that you can't just sit back and press A. You can't. You have to actively be playing the game the entire time, because you have active defense, you have active offense. It's neat. I like it. Time hits are great.
Yeah, the last Mario RPG I played was Superstar Saga on the GBA.
Nice.
And yeah, I finished that when I was younger, and I guess it's roughly the same for that, right? Because you can defend and you can attack reactively, and if you're good enough, you don't really take any damage and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Superstar Saga is kind of just a continuation of Mario RPG. I don't think they're part of the same story. I'm not sure on that, but I don't think they are. But they kept a lot of the same mechanics.
Yeah, Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario are both continuations of the formula, but they can't do Super Mario RPG again because that was a partnership with Square, and much like the Noid, the Square said, "We'll give you Geno if you give us way too much money," and Nintendo said no, so they've just made their own RPG since.
Yep. They're like, well, we learned a lot from this cooperation, now we have a thing, and all the games are fun. Their fun factor is always very, very high, even if, because you got, Mario and Luigi are generally mute characters, so it's not like they have a lot of personality, aside from the fact that they're Mario and Luigi, so.
Yeah.
Which one of those two is your favorite, anyway?
Luigi, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something a bit off with just Mario, right?
Mario is forced to be like the Mickey Mouse for Nintendo. He can't have a personality. He can't have likes and dislikes. He has to be the face of the company. Luigi is like his insane older brother who doesn't care about the corporate life and just does whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, that's why I'm the Luigi. It's me.
But yeah, Luigi has much more character than Mario. I mean, Mario's got the brave silent protagonist aside from wahoo and so on and so forth. Because Luigi's got the mansion games where he's obviously scared out of his mind the entire time. He's got his cool, I'm gonna jump really high and kick my legs real fast. He just has a lot of character.
Or if you play him in Smash, he clearly is just like, oh my god, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Luigi's definitely the more interesting of the two, but Mario generally does steal the show because he's Mario and that's his job.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember. I think it was Lunar actually, the Silver Star story, where there would be two separate characters that both knew a spell, but one did more damage with it because it cost it was the same spell name, but one it cost more MP for one person to use it, but it also did more damage. They got trained in a different way to use it.
I'm not that far yet. I'm still slowly playing through it, but I keep getting distracted with other games on my phone. But no, that sounds.
27.
No. Lately, it's Dragon Quest IV is what I've been playing lately on my phone. But I think if I remember right, there's a scene where you get Galeon in your team for a very short amount of time and he does have some of the same spells as somebody else, but yeah, his are cost more and are more powerful, from what I remember.
Yeah, Magic Emperor Galleon.
Yeah. He's a cool guy. He's also probably the bad guy, because he looks like a bad guy.
Well, the best part about that is it was before that was even the trope. Like, he helped establish the trope.
That's fair.
Also, I'm looking at game FAQs right now, and they literally translated his Earth attack as rock and roll.
Nice. I'm into it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's the best way to do it. Okay, it wasn't Lunar, but whatever.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I just made that up in my head. I mean,
maybe, but... the idea is still very sound, and if you have... And it's an interesting way to have characters who have similar types of abilities, presenting them in very different ways, like giving someone a single-target lightning spell, and then someone gets an AoE lightning spell that just does less damage. Completely different... I mean, same spell, just, again, trained differently, or whatever fluff you want to put in.
Yeah. It would be a lot less customizable, though, because, you know, like going back to, like, Final Fantasy 1 with, like, your class is your class, or, like, Final Fantasy Legend, you know, if you're human or mutant, you're stuck that way. So you'd have to have an interesting roster of characters with diverse abilities, as opposed to, with Final Fantasy Legend 3, what they did was everyone can be beast or a monster or a robot at any time. You know, you're free to switch, and you also are free to equip and unequip spells as you want. Like, you can have, like, at least 10 spells equipped at once. And you can take them out and put them in and put them on other characters. Like, everyone has MP, unless you're a robot. You know, it's very freeform compared to the restrictions of the previous titles. But the plot is also, you're 3 kids from the future and the Elder's granddaughter, now go save the world.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean,
Defeat the time sorceress at the time castle.
in outer space.
Yep.
But, the time castle was on Earth.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was.
Forget
it. Well, yeah, whatever passed for Earth in Final Fantasy VIII. But no, that's because that's one thing that, and I'm really hesitating to bring this up to let people know that I play this game. But Epic Battle Fantasy IV. It's a fun romp. The game itself is not good, but it is fun. That's kind of my consensus on it currently. But you've got 4 characters. You can only use 3 at a time, so you always got somebody on backup. There's a lot of skill overlaps as far as element goes, but they all work differently. Like, the standard caster just has the single target, multi-target of the elemental spells. And then there's this other guy who's like an army, like a gun nut, basically. And he'll have attacks like a napalm, which target one guy and does the most damage to him, and then it AoEs for less on everybody else. So they both have fire spells, but they both work in very different ways. I like that concept of it. There's a lot of things that game does right. There's just also a lot that the game just does really, really poorly. So the fun factor is very high, but it's a slog to get through.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't go into Epic Battle Fantasy for the story.
That's true.
Or the dialogue.
Characters, maybe. See, one thing that happens that I like, it's the same reason I like it in Final Fantasy X too, they talk to each other and to the enemies during combat. So, like, they build their own character's personality. Because I'm not, like, innately familiar with that. I played, like, the first one, like, on the high school computers millennia ago. So I'm not, like, familiar with all of these characters, but, like, they build their own personality just because they constantly talk to one another and the enemies during combat. So they kind of build that camaraderie that way, which is really neat. Something I liked, again, from Final Fantasy X too, is that the girls would all talk to each other during combat and, like, thank one another for, like, setting up the enemy if you were able to go, like, back-to-back with the best ATB has ever been and ever will be. But I'm rambling, but basically I just like that element of it. Adding characterization where you don't normally see it.
We really like to talk about improving characterization today, and I think that's because modern RPGs just don't have it. Like, as good as Bravely Default is, because of the nature of the class changing, the only real tethers to the story that you get are, like, the sword that Adia gets that quickly becomes useless. The Mise no Kami.
Yeah, she gets the sword, and you're like, oh, dude, badass. And then, like, you already have a better weapon. And it's like, oh, okay. Or she's a class that can't use it. You know, anything like that.
Oh, God. It really bothers me whenever there's a legendary weapon that is quickly outclassed. Fucking why? Some games do it okay, I guess. I forgot the title, but you get the legendary weapon from your dad. But the thing is, it doesn't work. Like, you only keep it in your key inventory slot because it doesn't work. But it's from your dad, so, you know, why not?
Yeah, you can't throw it away.
Yeah. And then it only, like, starts working, like, near the end of the game. And it's strong because it's a legendary sword. And it was blessed by the elves or whatever. That works out for me. I like stuff like that.
Or Secret of Mana, where you have the legendary Sword of Mana, it just doesn't have any power, and you have to restore that power to it. But then again, there's like all these other just random weapons that you find too that are also, you know, just as strong.
That's good too. Like you slowly work it into getting more powerful. That's all right. That's good for a legendary weapon.
Yeah, because when you find it, it's all rusty as hell because it was, like, shoved into a stone at a waterfall, so of course it's rusty.
Yeah.
Like, if you keep a sword in a humid environment like that, yes, it's going to rust.
Yeah, even a super legendary sword like that.
Yeah. And speaking of legendary weapons, I hate that the Excalibur has only 50 uses.
Yeah, I was really expecting, like, I don't think I found it yet. No, I haven't. I was expecting when y'all were first talking about it to be like the King Sword, where it just has indefinite uses. And I was going to be like, hell yeah. But no, so that means that sword was forged, it's Excalibur, and no one has used it before you, because it has maximum durability at 50.
Yeah, because that was the devs' way of balancing the game was, instead of the glass sword being made of glass and having one use, and the Excalibur having infinite uses, they put both at 50.
Yeah.
But wait, Red Mage, have you already beaten Ashura and climbed to the top?
I think so.
Because if
I'm climbing the tower again.
So
right now.
You went to the first floor, you met King Armor,
Yes.
you found out that Squid Girl's pregnant.
Yes.
You missed the nuke and you missed Excalibur.
Yes.
You don't need them anyway, Red Mage. You shoot lightning from your dick.
This is me playing without a guide. I'm sorry. I don't know where I'm going.
Well, you know...
I didn't play with a guide either, and I just stumbled into them.
Yeah, but Red Mage is playing without a guide, which means he has been dragged through the mud with these big, empty rooms everywhere. Yes. So if I found stairs that went up, I was taking them.
Yeah. That's pretty much how I've been playing most of the time, is just, if this is going to get me further into where I'm going, I'm taking it. I don't really care if I'm missing out on treasure at this point, so...
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Red Mage, you probably didn't need them.
Probably not. I'll be alright. Probably. We'll see.
Yeah.
Getting back into magic systems, the one that I really liked, and it's the base magic system itself is extremely simple. Everybody's got their element, they cast their spells, everything's hunky-dory, but then they add in a neat element where you can pair attacks with somebody else and create double and triple attacks. And that game, friends and family, is Chrono Trigger, and that is like my most favorite use of magic. Everybody's only got like 10 spells, but it doesn't matter because everybody has like 3 dual attacks with one another, so it doesn't matter what your party composition is. You've got these crazy multi-attacks that take all of your characters in different ways. And it takes something like a very basic magic system and makes it 1,000,000 times more interesting, in my opinion. Maybe not 1,000,000, like 100 times.
Suikoden does something similar, where you can pair the highest level magic of 2 elements, and you make like a super attack. So, if I remember correctly, it's either the max level water or the max level wind that heals you, and you can pair that with another max level spell so that you not only damage the enemy, but you heal yourself in the same go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a neat way to do that, too. But yeah, just taking a base magic system and like putting a twist like that on it is in my opinion really important, because when you get down to it, and this is for everybody out there, I just want to let you know, if you've got a magic system where you use MP and you have an element and it does damage or it heals, and that's all, that's boring. I'm sorry. I want some fluff and some flair in my magic systems. The cooldowns that I mentioned earlier, that's neat. I like that. Leo did that too in the long road, by the way. There were cooldowns on a lot of the abilities. I think that's super cool. Or pairing it up like Chrono Trigger, or in Chrono Cross, which I'm one of the few that likes Cross more than Trigger. When you use your attacks and your elements, it like adjusts the field, and depending on how the field is, that also affects the strengths of the different spells. So like there's so much more going on than just I'm gonna cast the spell and do some damage. Next turn.
Another game that did that is a Magical Star Sign, which I've only played a little bit of it because it's fairly generic at the start. It's sad to say, but like as you recruit more people later in the game, they all have their own element, and depending on your planet's position in the universe, Earth gets strengthened but fire gets weakened, or water gets strengthened but wind gets weakened, that kind of thing. So you're constantly monitoring the star chart to see, who's going to be the good caster.
That's interesting. That's kind of like the field effect, but even like more intense. Just having those major outside things affecting the characters. I like that. Stuff like that is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Back to Suikoden for a second. They used the Vancian system in a way, so you had up to level 4 for your MP. So you had level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. But the runes that you got, there were 2 levels of runes for these 4 levels of spells. So if you got like the basic fire rune, your level 1 spell was like Flame Arrow or something, and then the level 4 was some kind of cool fire attack. But if you got the Flame rune, which was the upgraded fire rune, the level 2 fire spell was now in your level 1 MP, the level 1 fire spell was no longer used because it's worthless garbage, and your level 4 is now a super cool, awesome, ultimate fire attack.
Okay, so yeah, that kind of goes back to what I was saying before. Take the Vancian system, shake it up a little bit. It can still work. It's not outdated, I swear.
I forgot to chime in with the Vancian. What was it called? Vancian casting.
Vancian.
Yeah, Vancian. Right. I forgot to chime in because I think Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 did something like this a little bit. Can I talk about that?
I don't know. Can you?
Talk.
All right. What Dark Souls did was you had the stat that does damage, like Int, Faith, or whatever, and then you had attunement, which was basically how many slots you could fit on your guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could buy the spells, but all your spells had to go into slots before you could use them. So if your attunement was really low, you could only have 1 or 2 spells. If it's really high, you could have a lot of spells. But also the thing about the slots is you could have multiples of the same spell, and you'd just have a lot more castings of that spell.
Okay.
So if you have 1 copy of Fireball, you'd have 18 casts or whatever. If you had 2 copies, you'd have twice that. If you had 3 copies of Fireball, you had 3 times 18. And that's a lot. And you can get through dungeons like that. But it will probably not dent the boss as much.
So
right?
So each time you attune Fireball, or what have you, you get 18 uses, but they're all very low-level attacks.
Yeah, but they're fireballs. And then there's the stronger versions of Fireball that are in the game, but each slot of those are less casts each. Fireball is 18 casts, and Flame Orb is 10 per slot, but it's way stronger, right?
Okay. I'm just building now this really interesting, complex magic system in my head right now. I'll get to that in a minute.
All right. Okay. So Fireball and Flame Orb, they're different. And then there's even stronger spells that take up more than 1 slot. And that was the Chaos Fire Orb. For 2 slots, you only have 5 casts of this. But it was really strong. You'd shoot the fireball and it would leave lava on the ground.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's really strong. It would beat bosses really good, but you wouldn't want to use that on weak monsters, right?
Yeah.
And that's the Vanikin whatever system in Dark Souls. So it's still being used. Well, not really, because Dark Souls 3 came out and they're using MP.
Wow.
So,
yeah. Right. Yeah, it's still being used. Because, no, my idea was like, okay, all right, Cody, you've played Valkyria Chronicles. Robin, if you haven't, okay, you know when you're upgrading the tank and you've got the grid and you got all the parts that you fit into the grid to like upgrade your tank. So sometimes you take a lesser one so that you can have enough slots to put everything in that you want.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Matt, that's my idea now for my magic system in whatever next game I make. You'll have the spells that you can allocate to this grid, which will like grow as you level, or by unlock through plot something. So you can like determine what kind of spells you want in there, and then bigger, stronger spells will just be bigger blocks in this Tetris grid.
It's gonna be like materia on steroids.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, dude, you can even have like little links here and there at certain ends, and you can link spell. Oh man, I'm excited. I have no idea how I'm going to program
for
this,
your
but
new
I'm ready.
system of materia cross Diablo inventory.
Hell yeah.
Diablo inventory management is the best puzzle game.
It's true.
I also like how carrying around like the fusion cube was a requirement, because the cube took 4 slots in your inventory, but it held 9. So as long as you didn't accidentally fuse everything inside the cube, it was a net gain.
Yes. It's better than like friggin' Diablo 1, where like every 5,000 gold took up its own slot. So eventually you would just like to be throwing gold on the ground in the middle of town because you couldn't afford to take it with you into the dungeon.
Just put a little sign on it. Please don't steal this.
Did they have at least those books of scrolls?
No. Each scroll's individual.
Oh, I guess that's why it's in Diablo 2 then.
Yeah, no, they fixed some of the things that were, I mean, I kind of like the idea, like in EverQuest, and this is like getting way off magic, just in the inventory, which is a weird topic, but like your money had weight. So like if you were playing a monk, and even though you didn't have like anything equipped, and you didn't have anything in inventory, if you had too much money on your person, you'd be encumbered. And an encumbered monk is terrible, and you like lose all of the benefits that you got for being a monk. So it's just kind of funny that, I mean, I like the idea, it's very realistic, but it doesn't make for good gameplay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. He should have taken the murder hobo class instead.
That's true.
I want to do elements real quick before we go into gimmicky magic systems.
Okay.
All right.
So let's answer a big question before we get too close to the end here. How many elements is too many? Almost every RPG has the fire, water, earth, and air, and they do their strengths and weaknesses every way under the sun. But then, you know, you add in light and dark. Secret of Mana adds in the moon, and also mana itself, which I think I mentioned last cast. But then you have, Super Mario RPG, which has, jump as an element. And then you have RPS 101, which is rock, paper, scissors, with 101 different hand motions for everything that beats something else.
Oh,
Jesus
you
Christ.
had to remind me of that picture, jeez.
Yeah, so how many's too many? I'm going to say once you get past maybe 4 physical and 8 elemental, you have too many elements in your game.
Yeah, over 8 is, like, way too many.
Yeah, I would say, as far as like the systems go in general, I'm a fan of the triangle system that Fire Emblem uses. You've got the weapon triangle, you've got the magic triangle. That's 6, that's done, that's all you need. But obviously RPGs aren't always going to work in that same way, because you're not fighting human enemies all the time. But
yeah,
I would say, for magic, 6 is pretty much the standard. You've got the 4 main elements, and you've got light and dark. Weapons, 4-ish should be all right. I mean, you can just...
I can't even think of 4 for weapons.
Like, I keep just defaulting back to D&D, where you've got slashing weapons, piercing weapons, and bludgeoning weapons. And that's all.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
But then, like, Epic Battle Fantasy 4 has, like, 12, I think, elements, because you've got, like... you got fire, ice, lightning, then you've also got wind, you've got earth, you've got nature, I think, or poison is its own element, light and dark, water is its own element, and then there's something else too that I missed. So there's 10, which, water and ice being 2 different elements is kind of weird, but they poke fun at it because you have solid water and liquid ice as items, which are just ice and water.
Yeah.
But But no, that there's too many there, because like part of the mechanic that they advertise is you can like switch out your armor and weapons and stuff mid combat to adjust, but you skip your turn in doing so. So it's like, dude, is it worth skipping my turn to do this, or should I just not worry about it and just deal with it? The 10th element, by the way, is bomb. So.
Right. The legendary element of bomb.
Bomb.
I really think that 3 is too few, though. I mean, for Fire Emblem, where it's, you know, a bunch of, like, dudes fighting it out, it's alright, because it's just a bunch of dudes flinging spells at each other. You know, they're on a different level than, you know, fighting normal enemies. But if you have, like, monsters and you're in Ice World, I don't want a fire spell to be the mechanically same as an ice spell when fighting ice monsters.
Right.
You know, I think you need a tad bit more flavor than that if you're doing a standard people going on an adventure and visiting exciting locales kind of thing.
Oh God, I just remembered. So you mentioned Fire Emblem. There is a game that I just remembered that does the weapon triangle thing and so on and so forth a little further. It's called it was called Yggdra Union, I guess.
Okay, I've heard of it. I've never played it.
You guys know that game?
I'm playing the GBA version, which is
Yeah.
masochism incarnate. Because even if you're following a turn-for-turn guide on game FAQs, you're still not guaranteed a victory. If you grab every extra character and every extra item, you're still not guaranteed a victory.
Yep.
The game is punishing.
Like, yeah, geez. Because, like, they also did the weakness thing, but, like, it's adjusted somewhat. Sword beats axe, axe beats spear, and spear beats sword, right? Mm-hmm. Arrows will beat those 3. Wait, no, I think I got it backwards. That's how bad I remember it. But like, yeah, I think, okay, so magic, if you're a caster, magic will beat those 3. And if you're using a bow, you'll beat mages.
Oh, okay.
And if you're using a melee, you'll beat archers, because they can't fight back.
So they've got like a triangle within a triangle.
Yeah. Wait,
Okay.
no, yeah, it is. I'm getting confused just talking about it, jeez. And
Well,
then
see, no, that's where you add in, like, you can have bows or crossbows or guns that all are in a triangle for the ranged. And then you have triangles and triangles.
Oh my god.
And then for the magic, we can have darkness beating the element ones, and the element ones beating light.
And the elements beating each other.
Yep, and then we'll have...
No, we're not doing Inception for this.
A game with mechanics so complicated, we forgot to make a battle.
That would be hilarious. Just an incredibly complex, combat system, and there is no fights the entire game.
All I know about Yggdra Union is the final boss is probably using a scythe. You know how I know this? It's because the scythe beats all the normal weapons and has no weaknesses.
Oh, well,
That's
yeah,
how I
probably
know
then.
the final boss is probably using a scythe.
So these are just impractical as weapons. They don't work.
Not if you're an evil overlord, apparently.
Well, yeah. I mean, they make them work in video games, but they really shouldn't. Anyway, that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap up my soapbox here with the most gimmicky magic system I could find. A magic system so gimmicky, in fact, I didn't even play the rest of the game. I spent about 3 hours just farting around with the magic system, and then I dropped it. Rudra no Hiho, I probably said that wrong, or Treasure of the Rudra. It's one of the last RPGs that came out for the Super Nintendo, and its graphics are amazing.
It is.
I don't remember the story at all. I don't remember the characters at all. I remember unlocking the ability to type in your own magic spells and just farting around with that. So it's got a highly advanced text parser, especially for a console, because you can type in things like fire or ice or Faraga, because they were doing that, or even death, and it will give you a spell along those lines. But you can also type in random gibberish, and it'll say, you know what, that's going to make that a fire spell. It's going to target everybody, do this. And the most powerful spell I remember typing in as my 12-year-old self was LeVar Burton, the host of Reading Rainbow, LeVar Burton. He was a lightning spell that hit everybody pretty damn hard, if I remember correctly.
That's excellent. I have played and I have beaten
I am a.
Treasure of the Rudra. I vaguely remember what it's about. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I ended up doing, because I got to a point, because basically there comes a point, because there's like 3 main stories, and then you like have a time skip, and then everybody goes to space, because that's the thing in RPGs, you go to space.
As you do.
Yeah. There's a point where like I could just not progress any further, and so I would look at a guide and they're like, alright, so if you want to beat this game, here are the spells that you have to make.
Oh.
And by that point, yeah, you put in like long strings of stuff, because there's one that like fully heals the entire party. There's one that like increases all of your like defenses and like all your stats basically. It's like a huge stat boost. And once I did that, the game was easy. So I didn't play around enough with the magic system apparently, and just kind of powered through. But no, it's that magic system, yeah, is probably the most gimmicky one that I've ever seen.
I know that you could like find hints for strong spells, and that was probably how you were supposed to craft certain ones. I think there's 2 things that killed Treasure of the Rudra and made me not progress and just fart around. One, like the problem you had, they didn't give you enough to bite on to go like, okay, here's a basic stat increasing spell, and then I can just add gibberish to the end to make it better, you know, because if they gave you that one little hint, you were going to add enough gibberish to break the game early. Number 2, they gave you all 12 letters right away. If they just gave you like 6 or even 4, then you could unlock more later, and there would be a sense of progression as opposed to just getting the whole kit and caboodle and going.
Yes.
I cast a Disforgag. Your move.
I'm gonna cast Ia Cthulhu Fatagan here. All right.
I cast hey.
Yeah, I mean, you could meme it up all day long, but yeah, basically if you went outside of like the main spells, usually the effect was just completely random, where the game was basically just like, I don't know what you wanted to cast. Here you go. Now, I'm going to take that because there's a magic system, I don't want to say it's like that, but it's similar, but they did do it better. It was a PS1 game. It was a tactical RPG. I don't know if anybody's ever played it besides me. I've never met anybody who has. It's called Kartia, Kartia. Basically, like I said, it's tactical RPG. It's got the weapon triangle, but magic, basically when you go to cast a spell, you choose a type of card. Basically, you inscribe the runes onto like magically imbued cards, which are then used up as part of the casting. So you have higher level cards that will increase the effect of your spells, or lower level cards that you can just kind of buy and just kind of throw away and use. And as you start out, you can imbue like 2 runes, and then as you continue throughout the game, your caster characters will unlock like 3, 4, 5 runes, and then your melee characters will get maybe eventually 3, maybe 4 at most. So you have that sense of progression as far as like the building your own spells goes. But you can also then just save spells like for quick use, which is really cool, because you have to manually do it every time for the cards. But that idea of just, I'm gonna pull up this nice silk card here and jot some stuff down on it, hold it up, and then your effects happen. Cool idea.
Yeah,
The plot was complete batshit. I don't even remember it anymore. But I remember being like 15 playing this game, being like, what? What? Fun game though.
Pull out my cardboard card, get out this pen, and then I cast a Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, I think the basic ones were paper, and then it was like wood, and then I think it's silk is the 3rd level, and then eventually you get like World Tree or something. I like the very, very limited, can't buy it anywhere, save it for the boss type of spells.
I summon Sulfur, the Sky Dragon card!
Yeah. It's a cool magic system, and it works. Again, it's one of those things that works as a tactical RPG because when you want to cast magic, you have a menu. You have to input anywhere from like 2 to like 8 runes by the end of the game. So there's a little bit more involved, than just your standard, I'm going to cast fire. So I don't think it would work in like a regular RPG. But in Treasure of the Rudra, it worked kind of because you created the spell, then you just had it available to use. You didn't have to like create it every time.
All right.
That's my obscure magic system of the cast.
Thanks, Grandpa.
No problem.
So I guess it's my turn for a magic system that's weird and unusual. Okay, there's this roguelike game, so I don't know how much this applies to people, but it's cool. It's called Crypt, and as the name implies, everything is coins. Everything is based on coins. If you run out of coins, you die, and and your attacks, dealing damage, healing, or putting up a shield, those are also coins. So all your skills are coins.
So when someone like holds a gun at you and says your money or your life, instead it's your money and your life because you give up all your coins and you're dead. Okay.
Pretty much. But they're
Okay.
they're also using a coin to pull out that gun. So you can also use a coin, steal their coin, so now you have the gun. Yeah, it's like really diverse what the coins in that game do, because there's like, the normal coins, do damage, heal, have a shield, like that.
Right.
And then there's like weird, like off-brand coins, like, oh, this one does poison to both of you, right?
Okay.
You would think that's worthless, but like it's really powerful. And then there's like, oh, this coin steals the enemy's coin, whatever he was trying to use on you. And then there's like coins that are passive, like this coin increases your max HP, or if you use this coin, the next coin is doubled or whatever.
Right.
Nice.
I like those kind of systems because, like, if you look at it from an outside perspective, that makes, like, absolutely no sense. Why don't you just walk up to somebody and just jack them in the jaw and then take their coins? But the game itself is internally consistent, so I like it.
Yeah. Like, everything is based on coins, and you can beat an enemy by making them run out of coins. So if their wallet's empty, they're dead.
And it's called a wallet, too.
It's called a deck, technically, but it's basically their wallet.
Yeah, their wallet. So here's a
And
question.
the same can happen to you. If the enemy manages to get you to lose all your coins, you're also dead and have to start over.
That's bullshit.
We are the 99%.
But that's roguelikes. They're just kind of bullshit incarnate. But okay, so are there
It sounds bullshit, but it makes a lot of sense. Because, like, you can do the same to the enemies. And, like, if you want more coins, you beat the enemies for coins. Like, you have to beat them before they use their coins. And that's how you get a lot of coins.
Okay. So, do the coins also count as, like, currency? Do you buy
Yes, they do.
things? Oh,
yes,
geez,
there are shops, and you can use your coins to buy equipment or bags of other coins. You might think that's bad, but it's really useful when you have trash coins. Sometimes you'll end up with situations where the double poison coin, I can't tell you how often that drops for me sometimes. But it has like a positive price on the shop, so maybe if you sell them off and then get something else, you'll manage.
Right.
Yeah, and then you have to be careful what you sell, because, like, you don't want to end up in a situation where all you end up with is double poison coins.
That's true.
Oh no, I used all my good coins. Now I'm stuck with double poison.
Congratulations!
And double poison isn't even the worst one you can get either.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if there's
Like-
anything that, like, you use it and you die immediately.
Like, there are coins that if you use them, you deal 1 damage to yourself. They're like curse coins.
Gotcha.
And it sucks because there are enemies with coins that go like, give the enemy these many curse coins.
So, you won't die from running out of coins, but you will die from basically killing yourself.
Yeah, that's how some of the coins work.
You can't fire me, I quit!
That's
Oh,
a really
boy.
interesting system, though. Something like that would be really hard to, I think, to just get across
To
on
do
a general
in regular
RPG.
gameplay,
Yeah.
it's hard.
But
It's not usable for most games, but
Right.
it is fun, and that's why I'd like to mention it here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super cool.
All right. Is there anything else?
Back your shit up.
God damn it, Cody! You haven't said that for so long. I didn't expect it. Oh no, the demon's flying away! No, murder hobo demon, come back! Oh god.
There. So there. Anyone else got advice?
Back your shit up. That's all I got.
God. Murder hobo your way up towers, kids.
All right. And with that, we're going to call it here then. Thank you all so much for listening to the RPG Maker General Podcast or the RPGMGP. This is Cody. We'll see y'all next time.
This is Red Mage. See y'all later.
This is Blue Sky Robin. I'm gonna go to sleep soon. Oh, actually, the collaboration project soon. TM.
Woo!
Woo!
Yay! Robin, you've got this. I know you got it, man. You can do it.
Well, I'm just doing the start, so yeah.
Well, open it up.
The future is in your hands, RPGMG.
Hey,
old man, let's go use Vulcans.
It's the Murder Hobo Kids every Saturday morning. The Murder Hobo Kids.
Murder hobo babies.
I'd watch it.
Oh god.